starting JavaScript, and if you are a beginner or intermediate, do not worry, do not stress yourself. This course is meant for you. This course will be able to cover from 0 to advanced level of JavaScript. Now, the first question that's first asked, why am I learning JavaScript? Now, before that, let's also quickly do the introduction to JavaScript. JavaScript is the world's most popular programming language. JavaScript is the programming language of web. Meaning that if you are trying to build a website, you are trying to look for a functionality, you use your JavaScript inside it. You can also work as a front-end developer, back-end developer, and also as a full-stack developer with JavaScript. Meaning that if you are a front-end developer, you need a JavaScript to perform some functionality inside it. If you are a back-end developer for JavaScript, you need JavaScript like Node. When you are using Node, Express, you need some JavaScript to run your back-end code. Or even if you are a full-stack developer means that the combination of the front-end and back-end with JavaScript. JavaScript was originally designed to run on a browser. When we say that it was originally designed to run on a browser, meaning that you have a web browser, maybe like Chrome, Edge, Microsoft Edge, Firefox, you can able to run your JavaScript code. That means every browser that has a JavaScript engine used to execute a JavaScript code. Meaning that any browser that have a JavaScript engine can run a JavaScript code. For example, the JavaScript engine for Firefox is a spider monkey, while that of the Chrome is a V8 engine. Now, let's look at the requirements for learning JavaScript. The requirement for learning JavaScript is a basic knowledge of HTML and CSS, Bootstrap. But if you have a basic knowledge of HTML and CSS, you'll be able to run your JavaScript code. A text editor that you need to run your JavaScript code. A browser, a web browser, maybe Chrome, you are using Chrome, you are using Microsoft Edge, you are using Firefox, a browser to run your JavaScript code. Logical thinking, you need to be able to think about the algorithm. Good. When we are talking about the logical thinking, you'll be, for example, now, if this is this, do this. If this is this, do that. Meaning that you must be able to think wisely before you're able to use the JavaScript code. Now let's look why learning JavaScript. It is most common used programming language. It's easy to learn. It creates a functional and dynamic web page app. When we are talking about a functional, it means that, like, for example, now we are trying to make a slider that after some minutes it should slide to another picture. Or we are trying to do a form validation. If user enter a wrong details, it should notify the user. that the password or the details that the user is entering is incorrect. Now we have a lot of things that we can use JavaScript to do, like animation. You can use JavaScript for animation. You can use JavaScript to create, edit, update, etc. Now, when we see that now the requirements need to for learning JavaScript the other time, we say I mentioned basic knowledge of HTML and CSS. HTML is just the structure of how your web page will look like, design will look like. Now, why CSS is the style? Because the full meaning of CSS is cascading style sheets. Is the style that you need to make your JavaScript code look more attractive to user interface. Now, why JavaScript is the functional inside your web page, so that if user click on the link and enter the website, the first thing is they see something like some animation jump up, pam pam pam. Now, meaning that they are trying to do form validation. They are trying to, anytime they toggle or they click an image slide or flip, that is the function of JavaScript. Now, let's look at the setting up your JavaScript environment, because before we can able to write a JavaScript code, we must set up our environment. The first thing to do is that text editor. Which type of text editor are you using? Are you familiar with? Is it VS Code? Is it Visual Studio Code or Sublime? etc. We have different type of text editor. Or the browser that you are using, is it Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, etc. Now we can also install a node so that we don't need to run our code inside the browser. Now, if we do not need the node, it means that we are running a pure JavaScript code. Like if you install a node, it means that we are running a pure JavaScript code, but it is not mandatory. Now let's set up our environment. The text editor I will be using for this series of JavaScript course is VS Code. Now, the first thing to do is that let me firstly create my HTML file. This is my HTML file. Now, let me create my JavaScript code. My JavaScript file too. Now you notice there is something different between the file that I'm creating. .html indicates that you are trying to create an HTML file, while .js is that you are creating a JavaScript file. You remember, if you want to create a style too, you need .css, meaning that file will just work for CSS. And what browser understands is JavaScript. You know that from your basic knowledge of JavaScript and CSS. If you want to use your CSS code, you must link it to your JavaScript file. Now, before I were able to use my JavaScript code, I must what link it inside my JavaScript file. Now, I will now use a element name, the tag name element called script. Inside the script, I will use src. You know what src means? It's source. When you are trying to import your JavaScript, if I pass an index to choose, I've already linked my JavaScript. Now let's view it on each one. Now welcome to JavaScript. If I open it on the browser, you know I mentioned the browser, that's you need the browser. If I open it on the browser, maybe Chrome, I will be using Chrome. I'm saying welcome to JavaScript. If I try to run my JavaScript code, for now, let me do document that's right. Welcome to JavaScript. Now, if I go to my web page now and refresh, you see that's what it's showing what welcome to JavaScript. The reason why I have access to it is that what I've already linked it to my HTML file, because the only programming language that browser understands is what is your HTML file. Because you can use other language. Before you're able to use other language, you must what link it inside your HTML file. That is the reason why we are doing what using a script element. Now let's now look at for the node part, but it's not mandatory. Now if you want to install a node, you install the one that is what's recommended for most users. And the reason why we need a node is that so that we're able to run our JavaScript code. Now, if you have already installed the node, just click on it. If you click on it, it will start downloading. If you don't have, just click on it. But if you have a node on your terminal, I don't know where it is. Let's try to cross check. Now, node basically means that what the version of node you are running on your system. Now, the version of node I'm running is 16.17.1. That is the far behind, because the latest one is what 18.16. Now, since I've already able to have a node running on my system, if I want to use a JavaScript code, instead of me linking my JavaScript inside my HTML file, I just need is that since node can run a JavaScript page, I just need node, then the file I want to run. Now, if I click node and index.js, The first thing that I will get in is what error, because is that document.write, you should write it to the browser. That's what write means. Now, but I'm not writing it to the browser. Let me change code so that I'm able to have access to it. I will use console.log. Now, this console.log means that what you should log in, you should return the data inside the console. Now, if I do the same thing, welcome to JavaScript. Was now, if I run my code now for my terminal, for instance, now I'm saying what welcome to JavaScript class. Now, this is how to set up your JavaScript code. If you are using it for browser, if you want to use a browser, you use browser to run your JavaScript, or you can use a node to run your JavaScript code. But there is difference between using a node and using your browser to run your JavaScript code. If you are dealing with a pure JavaScript file, maybe you are not integrating to the HTML file, you are good to go. You can run it on your terminal using Node. But if you want to implement it inside your HTML file, you need to go for the browser. You'll be running it on the browser. Thank you. I will see you in other courses.